I loved the Divergent series when it came out. The books, not the movies. I loved the books. There was just so much richness in there for me. And, without giving really away too much, if you haven't read them all, really the key thing is that you had this divergent population. And oh my goodness, they thought differently. And at first, they were in a way, to be feared. You didn't want to be known as being divergent. And, I love sort of books like that really make you sort of think, how does society function and act and all of these different things? And how do we think about other people who think differently? You know what? We are surrounded by people all the time who think differently to how we do. And, I am special education trained, and I have had the privilege of working with some amazing kids in different circumstances and with different sort of diagnoses who are all amazing with these amazing brains. And today, what I want to look at is this amazingness, this neurodivergent. Okay, it's a big word, and it's a fairly new term that's been coming out and is being used. I love it. So today, let's look at what is neurodivergent. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your shares, for being part of this community. And thank you for letting me bring my heart for education and parenting and family to you. Well, this is another thing that just really touches my heart. As I said, I'm special education trained, and over the years, I have had the massive privilege of really working with some amazing kids. I did a lot of learning coaching one-on-one, and in that, I really loved helping them find their strengths and to see that, a label doesn't have to define you. See, so often we can sort of get stuck with this label and think, well, that's my disability or my learning disorder. And you know what? I think labels can be helpful to get maybe the assistance or the accommodations that we need, the therapies that we might need, but they don't have to define us. And I spent a lot of time really just working with the students on that. You know what? Yes, I'm here to help you to come up with some strategies and ways to help you with your learning that'll make it easier for you, but I'm not going to let that label define you. And this is where I've loved that we're having a shift away from this sort of learning disabilities and learning disorders into this neurodivergent. And to me, it's such a rich term. And really, what does it mean? Well, neurodivergent, it's a person whose brain just functions differently in one or more ways than is considered typical. Typical brain reaches those developmental milestones sort of at certain times as they should, and it functions normally. That's a neurotypical brain. Okay, I know that I have a neurotypical brain, but there is neurodivergent, and it sort of covers a number of things. It really sort of came out of the autism community as using this term neurodivergent, but it doesn't cover just autism. There's also ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, NVLD, even other processing disorders and even some mood disorders, because why? The brain is functioning differently in one or more ways than is considered typical. And what I love that when we view it this way as just as neurodivergent, we are realizing it's not a problem to be fixed. No, it's not. Rather, it's just that every person processes information and interacts with the world and other people and learning situations differently. Okay? I mean, even just within different personality types, we do that, right? But for neurodivergent, that is that understanding that there really is some learning processes or ways that they're thinking that is just very different. And you know what? Maybe they do need help of parents and teachers to provide different ways to approach learning or to learn different ways to approach social situations or those sorts of different things. Yes, we're not just saying, oh, here it is, and we just leave it. No, it's providing this rich platform of understanding. It's not a problem, but let's support with the strengths. See, I think that that is the key. And that is what I loved doing, especially with the teams that I was working with. these are your strengths. Do you realize that? Like your ability to like memorize facts and like this, that, and the other, we can use those strengths to support what might be the weaknesses or what you view as the weaknesses, or just support in the way that your brain is not thinking typically in that. And how can we help you? And when we view it like that, it becomes this great support network. It becomes a beautiful way for them to think, for us to think, and for that support to happen, and for just finding different ways to approach learning, finding different ways to approaching social situations. I mean, I have some beautiful neurodivergent friends of all different ages. And I love that because I love that it makes me stop and think about how I can best be communicating, or how I can really be a good friend and support in that situation. Because, in many ways, I realize just how blessed I am in being like neurotypical and, and white and this and that and the other and all of these like different things. I really am like so very blessed. How can I be a support? How can I be a way like to educate? How can I be a way to, make a difference? And so we also hear the term like neurodiverse. So there seems to be like a little bit of confusion. Like, are they neurodivergent or are they neurodiverse? Okay. The person is neurodivergent. Okay. But neurodiversity is recognizing the richness of the differences, the abilities, the strengths that neurodivergent people have. Okay. So, you've got 10 neurodivergent people in a group. There is neurodiversity. Like right there, that's where the diverse comes in. Okay, but let's just remember, we are shifting away from really just thinking it is like a processing, it's a disorder, it's a disability, and it's a positive recognition of the way that people think and function. And in that, accepting that there is a difference in the way that people think, act, and function, and it's not wrong. We're not necessarily trying to fix, but we are trying to support and assist and help. So how can we support? Really the number one thing is like research and learn, like find out about this. We're gone from the days where we just sort of put people who were different, like into institutions, and like we've had like some sort of different ideas of how we treat different things. We've come a long way, but to know more about how like the brain functions and to know more about autism or ADHD or dyscalculia and all of these sort of different things is actually very helpful, especially if you have a friend that has one of these. Find out more about it, about how they operate and why they might react in certain ways or why they might do things in certain ways. I think that knowledge is key. So a great way to support is to learn about like neurodivergence, like what it is. Like if your friend, family member, the one they're interacting with at work, whatever it is, that you are knowing like sort of what is their neurodivergence, and how they interact and how they process. And then in that, like sort of really learning how you can best communicate. I realize like for me, maybe it is slowing down how I speak. Maybe it's not using sarcasm. Maybe it's not using idioms or jokes or anything like that could be like confusing or just not come across. Maybe it is like just breaking it down into like small factual chunks. And it really depends on who I am with what I need to do. But that is something that I've realized that I can be a better friend, a better tutor, a better teacher, a better like adult influence if I am communicating in the way that is best for them. I mean, that's really just part, like, isn't communication key for all of us? And so I truly think that one of the best things that I can do is learn how I can best communicate with my neurodivergent friends. Because that shows them love, that shows them support, that shows them that we understand and accept. And I think that is truly key. Kindness is key. Knowledge is key. Yes, we've got lots of keys. But this is what we can do. Let's learn more about neurodivergent and being, with the neurodiversity that we have around us. And what we can do to see that becoming even more of a beautiful understanding within like our schools, our families, our workplaces, like our churches, where we're interacting in our social clubs, because that will help all of us. And kindness really is key. So thank you so much for watching today. And, I hope this sparks on. Hey, go and learn more about this, maybe learn more about autism or Asperger's, or learn more about like dyslexia and what that really means and what somebody might have to go through as they process. Well, thank you for watching and being part of this community. And, continue with your likes and your subscribing. Yes, thank you so much. But you can also join and be part of this community as a champion. And you can do that through patreon.com or my website, learningthis.life.